Hello students, this is Professor Venkatachalapathi, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. I am going to discuss on coining and embossing in a metal forming process. Students, actually in this manufacturing process, this is a course has been allotted for the mechanical engineering, automobile engineering, aeronautical engineering branches. In the second year, second semester, this course has been taken for the students. So there are five major units in this manufacturing process. The first unit, which is called metal casting process. Second unit, which is called fabrication or welding process. Third unit, which comes under the metal forming. So in the metal forming, we have discussed the basic important uh, principle of hot working. So how do you define the term hot working, and what are the cold working? In that there are a lot of and variety of the manufacturing process where which comes under the metal forming techniques or mechanical working of metals. So in general, the term metal working or mechanical working of metals is the process where the effective amount of raw material can be utilized with the whatever the required shape. A simple shape parts can be done with the metal forming process. Here the only thing is depending upon the we can heat and we should apply the pressure or force and giving some cooling time and solidification time so that the final object can be performed. But the major difference between a metal casting and metal forming is in metal casting process there is a lot of wastages will be occur. There is so many step-by-step processes there like pattern making, pattern design, mold making, mold preparation, molten metal, everything. It is a tedious process. But where in the case of metal forming or mechanical working of metals, here whatever the amount of raw material can be taken, the same amount of the final component can be uh, has been received. So that means suppose 1 ton of raw material can be utilized, the same tonnage of output also can be existed depending upon the one product. It is some 50 grams or some 20 grams. So you can calculate for the ton how many tons of the raw material can be utilized. That many products can be obtained in a per shift or 3 shift or entire day. There is a 3 days in a shift so that you can able to produce the components. So in that the another interesting topic is coining and embossing. Let us discuss about the what is coining and embossing and what are the important principle involved in coining and embossing and what are the various advantages, limitations and application of coining and embossing. These two terminologies very very important, and even a mechanical engineering student should focus on to uh, determine to design this type of coining type of process and embossing process. Let us see the a simple introduction to the coining process. The diagram shows it is a three-dimensional diagram. There will be a die and there will be a punch in between. Work will be there. So here in this, what are the shape? This shape, when you apply the force and pressure, that workpiece will be upturned like this. That is either in a some step by step or whatever the shape on this punch, the same shape will be obtained in this workpiece. Okay, so this is what the coining process comes under. It is a cold working process. It is a cold working process. It is a process of pressing the operation, and this is used for a cold working only. That is the term cold working can be defined as it is the heating the metal at the room temperature or below its recrystallization temperature. That is called cold working. As I studied earlier, in the cold working mainly depends upon the recrystallization temperature will be less below its recrystallization temperature. You know the term recrystallization means it is a transforming old nuclei into new nuclei. That is called recrystallization. When you are speaking about the hot working process only, it is more interesting for heating the material so that to relieve the internal stresses and improve the mechanical, magnetic and electrical properties. But where in the case of hole working, there is no heating can be done. Only the workpiece will be kept in the die, and by applying this punch, what are the shape of that punch? This is called lower die, that is upper die. We can also call the punch. So that whatever the appearance in this below that die, the same can be produced in the workpiece. This is what about the a simple metal canning process. This is used for making works on metals like coins. Example, some medals, gold medal, and some coins, 1 rupee, 5 rupee coins, even recently so many. The government has been introduced even 10 rupees coins also. That and all comes under this operation only, coining process. Okay, the major important thing is a cold working process. You can keeping the workpiece by applying the force and pressure to what are the requirement of the shape in that work, that can be obtained. And in this operation, obviously, the cold working needs more force because there is no heating can be done. In order to change it, the shape, a simple shape also, obviously, more force is required to form a simple shape. So this is what about the coining process. And for understanding purpose, the three-dimensional is the die one, and or lower die, upper die, or we can also call it as punch. In this upper die only, the required shape to be processed in even keychains and some of the gold medals and some silver, whatever the thing, the shape can be obtained, either it may be college logo or name or number, that totally can be obtained in this workpiece only. So this is what about it is a cold working process, but lot of force or pressure is required to form a simple shape. Okay, so this is called the basic introduction about the coining process. Now let us see the how we can able to explain the principle involved in this coining process. So when you are discussing the coining process, it comes under the cold working process. The pressure required at work is more than the embossing. So here we'll discuss the embossing also. First, let us discuss the coining, then afterwards embossing, then how it will compare between coining and embossing, and what are the important applications and some of the advantages, limitations also we'll discuss in detail about this session. Okay, so here the coining process, this diagram itself, it is a self-explanatory. Even a layman can understand clearly how we can able to perform coining process. So look at in the first case, what you will see, there is a lower die, upper die and workpiece. These are the die holders. So when you wanted to fix without taking any vibration, they can add the die holders, and the upper die, lower die will be there. What are the shape of the lower die and upper die? The same type of thing can be actually done. So for example, you can see if you remove the top upper die, you can see the workpiece, what are the shape that may be upright. Even some case, even you can see our 1 rupee coin, one side, a head and tail. Okay, both are different. So for they can do separately head and tail, and both will be again stamp, again the coin together, again pressed together to form a one coin. So that's what even not only this rupee coin, 5 rupees coin, or gold medal and silver, whatever the thing to be presented in the workpiece, that same can be done in this lower die or upper die. Sometimes only one side only empty, the other side may be like you can able to, what are the shape you can able to obtain, that only can perform. And otherwise they can rotate in a and one die parallel, the other die can be, what are the shape can be obtained. That sometimes you need top or you need bottom, that also depending upon the position of the die and workpiece. Okay, and you can also use the some of the die holders in order to having the exact size and shape of the workpiece. Okay, so this is what about the simple principle involved in the coining process. So obviously I discussed the pressure to be required at the work is more compared to any other, especially the embossing. So most probably coining and embossing are both are similar, except here you can perform the both the things. There you can see they will raise the letters, that we will discuss in shortly. And in this coining operation, at the time of work, in the coining operation, at the time of work, deformation, plastic deformation occurs only at the metal or just surrounded by it. Plastic deformation occurs only at the metal or just surrounded by it. So that is why it is a cold working process. When the force is applied to it, what will happen? The flow of direction of the metal is perpendicular to the applied force. You see metal, how it will flow, this upper die will be put vertically, and because of this pressure, either hydraulic or pneumatic or any type of force measuring device to be used, so that the required amount of pressure to form the required shape of the workpiece. Okay, that is why when the force is applied to it, what will happen? The flow of direction of the metal is perpendicular to the applied force. Obviously, it should be perpendicular. If you keep like this, if you apply, it can't done properly. So that is always the force die should be kept at the perpendicular vertical or vertical in direction. Workpiece will be horizontal, so that only the metal obviously perpendicular to the applied force. Okay, so this is the a fundamental concept involved in the coining process. Now let us see the another interesting example. This is what 1 rupee coin. So this is the symbol. So how that symbol of three lines. Okay, so this is the government stamp. This is rupee, 10 rupee coin. Already it is now banned. Only some states in Tamil Nadu they are utilizing these 10 rupees coins. So sometimes they are not. Some states and all they are not following this thing. Okay, so here this coining means obviously it is similar to embossing. Okay, so similar to embossing the sense you can raise the letters. So like this, how we can able to extension will come out like this line head and this rupees and 10 etc. Date India like that. Okay, and year. Okay, so the difference is that similar to different impressions are obtained on both the sides of the sheet metal. Okay, so similar to embossing, but with the difference in similar different impressions obtained both the sides of the sheet metal. So here both side there will be is there, but in embossing only one side only will be there, other side that impression only will be there. Okay, so some raised one side here. Coining means both side like that. You can see the how this upper side, how the lower side. Okay, this is lower part, this is upper part. How we can able to produce these components. That is what about this thing. And another interesting one is it is a cold working sizing operation, and it is mainly used for producing metal coins, some gold medals, metal coins like this 10 rupee coin, 5 rupee coin, 1 rupee coin, 2 rupees coin, all these made with this coining process only. Okay, it is a cold working process, comes under the mechanical working, metal working. Some presses or hydraulic press can be widely used in order to maintain uniform pressure and force to get the required shape of the coins. Okay, metal coins obviously. Okay, so even that metals depending upon the what we call silver medals, gold medals, or bronze, brass, any type of material, the principle is same as this coining. That is a cold working process only. Okay, now let us see how we can able to discuss about the embossing. So far that we have discussed the metal coining process. Now embossing means most probably one side. So embossing is the type of process of forming operation. In this operation, what will happen? The drawing on the metals are most probably jewelry, the ladies' ornaments, jewelry shapes, etc. This can be done with the embossing. And one interesting application is all some advertise boards, sign boards and all, some letter boards, especially they can prefer the embossed letters. One side it can raise, the other side be some halo. Okay, but whereas in the coining means both side will be different, head and tail. But embossing, what are the shape in top, back side it will that whole that raised letters only form. So that is what the main importance of the embossing. Okay, this type of operation uses less force at working than coining operation, and it uses less pressure comparatively coining. But coining with both sides you have to perform the impression, but in the embossing only one side only. Comparatively it is a less pressure is required compared to metal coining process. And in this embossing operation, this effect shows on a complete body thickness. Depending upon the thickness only, it can vary 1 mm, 2 mm, 5 mm, how much thickness. If the thickness can be varies, I think then the little bit pressure can be increased based on the thickness. If the very less thickness, obviously very less pressure only can be used. Okay, and that is what interesting one. And another thing is, when the force is applied, what will happen? The flow of direction of the metal is along the applied force. Flow of the direction of the metal is along the applied force. And all this material collected to the sheet metal study notes for mechanical engineering. Okay, so that material also collected some standard publication like P. N. Rao and some Kalpak Jain, that Tata McGrail that publishes, etc. Okay, so this is what about the importance of the embossing. Embossing means it is a forming process, and mainly it is used to drawing on the metals or jewelry shapes, ornamentals. Okay, that woman ornamental like that is what jhunkis and some necklace, whatever the thing jewelry that can be embossed as per the requirement of the customer. And but wherever the pressure is required is less compared to the coining. Coining means both sides can able to impress. So that is the basic fundamental difference between the coining and embossing. Now look at this, how the principle involved in the embossing process. Embossing, obviously it is also comes under the cold working process only. So here one thing I would like to add, that embossing means it is the process of producing raised and sunken designs. This is very interesting one. This is the process for producing raised letters or sunken designs or relief on the sheet. One side if you raise it, automatically the next side it will be some relief will be occur. Okay, that is why. But where in the case of coining, both are separated. Okay, this is a head, this is tail. Both will be joined together and that coin can be obtained. But very embossing means if you do emboss, some raised form will occur, inside some hollow portion will be there. That relief in the sheet metal can be obtained. And also the metal sheet is embossed operation is commonly accomplished with a combination of heat and pressure. So here little bit heat also required to form a sheet. Okay, and also very little pressure also can be applied. Whatever the required shape can be applied. Depending upon what type of embossing is required, we have to select a material as per the requirement of the customer. And let us see the another interesting one. Coining and embossing are the two art metals. Coining and embossing are the two art metals. But while speaking to coining and embossing, the principle are same. The only difference is coining means both sides are different thing, and that can be easily high force or more force is required. Where embossing, one side only will be raised the letters, other side relief can be done, and this is why this is the two art metals. Okay, and there is a group core stamping competence will be occurred. This is also cold stamping process. You can simply speaking that cold stamping process. And these operations produce complex shapes held to very tight tolerances. You can see in that obviously coining means some simple, very less, but when embossing some complexity also will be there. Obviously they required some some heat, and wherever required some turning and some finishing process also required, like grinding and some surface finishing operations, etc. This is what about the main principle involved in embossing process. Coming to the embossing, it is the type of process of the forming operation. Already explained, the forming means the whatever the amount of raw material can be taken, the same amount of the finished product, exact, there is no wastage of material. That's what, if you take the gold ornaments, if you lose any gold, are you because what is the cost of the 10 grams gold? 50,000, more than 52. Huh? 1 hour like that, 22 carat, that all the it is very costly. The amount that material cannot to be wasted. Even 1 gram, milligram also, it is a valuable only. So that is why here any type of jewelry shapes and metals, etc., this type of operation is preferred, and this type of operation uses less force working than coining operation. Coining operation, obviously we require lot of presses, that is hydraulic, pneumatic. But where in the case of this ornamental, even little hammer and manually also can perform some simple force and pressure. So it uses less pressure comparatively than coining operation. That is what. Okay. So only the coining requires a lot of force and high pressure. Even they have to use the fully automatic and the semi-automatic machines. But in the case of embossing, very manual forces, a manual hammer, and can be used to perform a simple pressures, etc. This is the basic. You can see in this diagrammatic how the design is very complicated, and even any one component, even there's some dot like that also, it is a some milligram. If that will be come out, means it is a problem. So that is why some complex design also, some skilled art, that person should have a some art of skills, and how he can able to do the complex shapes easily with the putting the little or low pressures, etc., low force, in order to form the different shape, complex shapes. So that is why embossing is a process of producing raised or shrunken designs, or there is a relief on the other sheet metal. So this is the basic principle of embossing. Coming to the, it is interesting, what is the basic difference between a coining and embossing? Look at, it is interesting one, embossing and coining. Already I explained earlier. So look at the coining, 20 rupee coin, 1 rupee coin, both two sides are different and both will be joined together. It is a coining process, because a lot of pressure and force is required to form a that shape. But whereas embossing means raise one side only, can raise like what you call artist, some what you call name boards, signboards, and all prefer the embossing only. But coining means only both sides will be different, both will be fixed together, a lot of force and pressure to be added. So this information also collected from the reference sheet metal study notes on the mechanical engineering by Kalpak Jain. And here look at the definition. Embossing means a metalworking operation is to create raised surfaces or lettering in a sheeted metal. So on plate sheet is there. If you apply pressure, some halo will be there here outside. Some raised letter surfaces, and this relief will be occur. Okay, but coining, it is not like that. This side is different, this side is different, both fix it together, then apply pressure. The whatever the shape of that die, the shape can be applied on the both side. So that is why the more force is required for the coining. So coining also is a metalworking operation used to create raised surfaces or imprints on the metal. So that is what the coining is, a relatively severe operation that create the variations in the metal thickness. It can be very thickness. Okay, so if the more thickness is there, lot of pressure is required. Less thickness is there, not that much pressure. Obviously, some semi-automatic, fully automatic, even tonnage, 20 ton or 40 tonnage capacity of the presses also is required to form these coins or gold medals or silver medals, etc. In that, whatever the lettering and whatever the shape, whatever the thing you want that can be easily obtained by these two processes. That is the only difference. Coining means both sides can be done, and embossing one side, raise the letter, inside relief will be there. Especially in the city of gold, Bombay, so many some art, some name boards, night time that lighting also we use this embossing process. Okay, so that is why coining means it is a simple operation, metalworking operation to raise the surface and impress on the metal, either head and tail like that, both will be joined together. But embossing means it is an operation to create riser surfaces or letters come out on the sheet. Below there will be some relief will be there. How much amount come out in inside that relief should be there. That is the only difference between a embossing and coin. Look at coming to this. What about this coining and its application? So everywhere, why you should do this coining process? Okay, why you have to go for this metal working, mechanical working? You can see the variety of coins. What I said earlier, only gold medals and silver medals and coins, 1 rupee, 5 rupee, 10 rupee coins. Other than that, you can see the some even different type of uh, photos, some Rome and some Victoria, uh, press, and these are the some Dubai. So all other countries also, this is the 10-gram fine gold. So this is the 10-gram fine gold, and like this, all variety of things also best application for the coin. These dies also already prepared. Even that gold dies also, it is very important. It cannot come out. There is a lot of rules and regulations to sanction these type of dies. Otherwise, everybody they'll mix the material, will form a some gold coin dies like that. Okay, so that is why the coining is used to manufacture parts for all industries such as it is commonly used to very high relief or very fine features as required. In that case, the coin dates are used. For example, it is used to produce the coins, badges, buttons, and precision energy springs, precision parts with small or polished surface features. Whatever first you can decide. Even in the button also you need your photo, or in button some Gandhi photo, and button some Abdul Kalam photo, or our Honorable Prime Minister photo. So everything, or some gods, whatever the thing to be placed in that coin. Obviously, the dice, once the dice can be prepared, you can easily done the multiple number of coins. Coins can be done with the coining operation. Only thing is there will be two dice, bottom and top die. In between you can keep the that workpiece, and whatever the shape of the both the sides, top one side, bottom one side, both will be fixed together. Then apply pressure, that the coins can be obtained with a stipulated time. This is the another interesting application of coining dice. And look at this, the another interesting application, like you can see embossing in letters. Especially this we can easily identify in the night times. Even if you go for Bombay, or if you go by Delhi and some major cities, even in Hyderabad also, some like embossed letters, Chennai silks, some what you call different type of showrooms and all, they can made like this embossed letters, so that it will be attract the customer for the long duration of the time also. Okay, so that is why embossing means it is an art of producing raised patterns in the surface of the metals or leather, textiles, paper, and other similar substances. So this is the one best example for IKEA, how they can be raised letters inside. They can put some lighting also, lighting either blue, red, orange, any type of color can you give. The same color can be reflect on that, so that the focus can be at the long distance also can be focused. Okay, so that is why embossing, the main application is it is an art of producing raised patterns on the surface of the metal. That material also, either it may be leather or textiles or paper and other similar substances, this type of embossed lettering type can be widely used. And strictly speaking, the term is applicable only to raised impression produced by means of a engraved dies. This is very important. One die is there, how we can able to engrave either horizontal, some whatever the shape can be engraved, that we can prepare it, then we can apply pressure, that same can be obtained. Okay, so this is what about the different type of applications is widely used in embossing process. Embossing means we should raise, there will be inside some relief will be there. In that relief they can add some lightings. Okay, some either tube light and any fluorescence lights and all variety of colors can LED lamps also can kept. Obviously it will reflect and for the long distance also it can show more clarity than the any other type of application. That is why most probably this embossing for the 10 years before only in Mumbai, lot of all the showrooms and hotels and some business areas and all, this type of embossing technique can be used to advertise their names and their usages, either textiles or leather or paper, all the things. Nowadays, the software, some what you call Infosys, and some Amazon, all these type of also can be used this embossed letters only. Okay, and this is what about the I would like to share the important of this the embossing and coining. Look at the final conclusion of this coining and embossing in a metal forming process. Majorly, the simple thing is there will be lower die, upper die, workpiece. What are the shape of the lower and upper? We can able to produce the component like this, and another component like also can able to have. This is what about the coining. Obviously, high pressure and more pressure is required to form a medals, gold medals and coins, etc. And this is a simple basic principle involved in the coining. So there will be a lower die, upper die workpiece, apply the pressure in the both in opposite direction. By removing the topper part, the same counterpart can be applied. If you remove the bottom one, that whatever the shape of the die, you can able to achieve the similar thing. And this is what some 10 rupees coins most probably that can be used in this method only. And some different type of silver and brass, bronze, all these things comes under the this coining process only. And some embossing mainly ornamental structure, all ornamental, and some name boards, some even some different type of jewelries for ladies, etc. This embossing process can be widely used, and these are the principle, the two of the art metals like this coining and embossing. Coining means a lot of pressure is required, but embossing a light pressure, a limited force or pressure is required to form some any shape. But here some artistic people are there in order to have, because if you gold ornament, some silver and any some important jewelry thing and all, you should take care, because even a gram of metal also will be cost there. They should take care very effectively, and you can able to apply lot of skill in the doing any different type of structure. And this is the basic difference between a coining and embossing. Embossing means erase the letters, inside relief will be there. Coining means both side, one head, one tail, both mix it together will form a coin. And obviously a lot of force and pressure is required, either 40 tonnage capacity of the hydraulic press or 30 ton based on the our application of the component. And these are the general interested applications of some what you call Victoria and some Dubai, Saudi. So all these things are all made by this coining process. Okay, so best important thing is positively energy springs and precision parts are most widely used in this polished and surface features. Okay, so this is what about this thing. And another interested application for the name boards symbols. Embossing a most widely used process for name board, leather or textile or hotels or similar substances can be obviously used in embossing process. Strictly speaking, the term is applicable only to raised impression producing by means of engraved dies or plates. So that is why this is the interesting concept of the coining and embossing. I hope the student can understand clearly, and these type of questions may be asked in your examinations, semester examinations. Sometimes they may ask the competitive examinations also embossing and what you call the coining process. Okay, so thank you. Good luck. In the next class, we'll discuss another interested topic.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.